Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller are two of the best young players in the world.
To build on the young core that they have.
It's finding that right fit.
But what separates them are certain intangibles, which makes one of them clearly better than the other.
On the take, Henderson!
Oh my goodness, Scoot Henderson!
So let's start off by comparing the two young stars, Scoot versus Miller. Scoot Henderson stands 6'2" with a 6'9" wingspan. He famously bypassed college to join the G League Ignite at the age of 17, which made him the youngest player in G League Ignite history. And since then, he has showcased his incredible playmaking, athleticism, and skill set, which have garnered comparisons to the likes of Ja Morant, Derrick Rose, and Russell Westbrook. While Brandon Miller stands 6'9" with an insane 7'2" wingspan. Miller played 1 year with Alabama Crimson Tide, where he averaged 18.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. He shot 43% from the field, 38.4% from three-point range, and 85.9% from the free throw line. Miller is often compared to other wings like Paul George, which happens to be Miller's favorite player. So both guys definitely have the skill sets to thrive in the NBA, but let's take a deeper look at who is likely to end up on top. Scoring. Scoot thrives with the ball and has an elite first step. Combine that with his NBA-ready body, and you have a problem on your hands. All of this allows Scoot to score multiple ways, whether that is on a fast break, early on the shot clock as the time is ticking, off of pick and rolls, and so on. Miller seems like a better second option, as he can shoot upwards of 40% from three, making it impossible to leave him open on the three, allowing his teammates to get easier shots themselves. This is something that Scoot lacks, as he isn't a great three-point shooter as of yet. And the way the NBA game has been evolving, if you can't shoot threes, then you're at a severe disadvantage. Especially if you are the primary ball handler, as the other teams will dare you to shoot. Shooting 25% from the three as a point guard simply won't cut it in the NBA. Especially because Miller can shoot the three efficiently. It is easier to draw up more plays for him and allow him to make his own reads once he gets the ball. While Scoot has to settle for using his ball handling and athleticism to get past his defenders and battle it out in the paint against 7-foot monsters. But we have seen this work. Ja Morant is one of the smallest but most efficient and effective paint scorers in the game. And Scoot's own game is often compared to Ja, who also struggles to shoot the three ball efficiently. However, Ja has made efforts to improve his three, which is likely Scoot's path, as he is still only 19 years old, and will have all the time in the world to strengthen his weaknesses. And if that is the case, if Scoot is able to bring up his three-pointer, then he clearly becomes a bigger threat on the offensive side of things than Brandon Miller, as he already possesses elite playmaking skills and the ability to draw fouls and score in the paint. Not to mention his automatic mid-range pull-up, which works smoothly with his ability to read and pick-and-roll defenses. Playmaking. Speaking of weaknesses, it's not like Miller is the perfect offensive player right now. He has the potential of being one, which is why he went so high in the draft. But in order for him to get there, he needs to sharpen up his handles and become more consistent with creating his own shot and finishing around the rim. Factors that Scoot excels in already, but Miller does have a good change of direction, which allows him to get to the rim. And even though Scoot is clearly the more superior playmaker, Miller isn't a total scrub in that department. For his position and size, Miller can make excellent reads and dime up his teammates with both flashy offhand passes or simple bounce passes to a rolling big. What it really comes down to is if you believe Scoot can increase his three-point efficiency more than Miller can up his shot creation and ball handling. Which of these factors is easier to improve? We believe that the three ball is easier to incorporate into one's game. Defense. This is where we see a bigger discrepancy between the two. Although Scoot Henderson has an NBA-ready body and can pick your pocket, he is still an undersized guard. Nowadays, the guard position is getting bigger and bigger, and we see guys like SGA and Luka playing bully ball against smaller guards. Not to mention the guards are some of the most dynamic scorers in the league. So every night that Scoot will have his handful guarding all-star and all NBA level guards, while Brandon Miller earned his height because of his 3-and-D ability. Not only can he shoot the ball efficiently, but he has also all the intangibles to make him an elite defender, like his idol Paul George. Just last season, Miller had 30 blocks and 33 steals. He nearly averaged a block and a steal a game in college. And Miller has the ability to help play side defense and protect the rim as well. Not to mention his 6'9" frame comes with a 7'2" wingspan, which means he can essentially guard any player on the perimeter. Now, we aren't saying he'll lock up Joel Embiid or Kevin Durant, but if he gets switched up against elite scorers like that, Miller can hold his own for a possession or two. IQ. When it comes to gauging who will have a better NBA future, it is important to take into consideration different intangibles like IQ, leadership, and mentality. When it comes to IQ, we have to give the edge to Scoot, and that's not just because Brandon Miller didn't know who NBA champion Chris Middleton was. We're sure that he was joking, but in reality, Scoot has played the point guard position of his career, so he's used to calling out plays, creating plays, and making the correct reads. It's not that Brandon Miller isn't a high IQ player, as we have seen him make plenty of good reads, but Scoot has been in the position longer and has had his abilities tested against professional players in the G League. That is also where Scoot has demonstrated his leadership qualities. Leadership. The point guard position is often referred to as the floor general. Although bigs like Jokic might challenge that claim, in general it has always been point guards who controlled the flow of the game. This has naturally resulted in point guards having the crucial leadership qualities to lead and motivate their teams. Just take a look at Chris Paul, who is the best example of a floor general. Scoot has already displayed this leadership quality in a summer league game. He was mic'd up for that game, and throughout his playing time he was continuously talking to his teammates, making sure that everyone was in the right spot, calling out switches and plays, and hyping up his teammates whenever they made the right decision, and even when they messed up. The last point is important because the last thing you want after you messed up is your team's best player cussing you out in front of everyone. Scoot seems to have maturity in his game that is well beyond his years. That might have something to do with his long-term vision, which resulted in him skipping out of college to get professional experience in the G League. While being a leader is something new to Miller, he said himself that he became more vocal in recent years in an attempt to improve his leadership qualities. Typically, you don't need rookies to be the leader of your team. But when you have rebuilding or young teams like the Blazers and the Hornets, it is important to set the culture and standard for the team, and it's best done through your young stars. Scoot definitely has that culture-setting aura all around him. This then brings us to another important factor in terms of judging talent: confidence that borders delusion. Confidence. So self-confidence can make or break a player. Typically, young stars are beaming with confidence, and it's no different with both Scoot and Miller. In fact, Miller came out and said that he sees the Hornets winning a ring next year. Okay, now that is definitely delusional, but hey, you gotta respect it. While Scoot doesn't lack in this department either, he has said on record that he believes he is the most prepared player in the draft, and even said that teams would regret taking anyone over him, and that includes Victor Wembanyama. In fact, Scoot tried his best to rally support for him to be picked number 1 overall in this year's draft. But where does their confidence come from? Well, for Scoot, it's the fact that he's tested his game out against professionals in the G League and thrived. While for Miller, he was one of the best players last year in college, so both of them have a solid foundation to stand on. But if we were to tally up all the different intangibles and take into consideration their skill set, size, athleticism, and prior history, Scoot Henderson definitely has the edge on Brandon Miller. But the gap isn't so large that Miller can't overtake Scoot with hard work and discipline. One thing is for sure, the future looks bright for the NBA with all of this incredible young talent coming in. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell beside it so that you're notified the next time we upload a new video. And with that being said, you just watched us break down who will do better in the NBA, Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. We'll see you next time.